December 30th, 2000. A quiet neighborhood in Tokyo, Japan, just days after Christmas. The Miyazawa family, a father, mother, and their two young children, are getting ready to welcome the new year. But that night, their lives are stolen in the most brutal way imaginable. What's even more chilling? The killer didn't flee after the murders. He stayed in their house for 10 hours, eating their ice cream, napping on their couch, and leaving behind a trail of clues. Yet 24 years later, this case remains unsolved. This is the Setagaya Family Murders, Japan's most haunting mystery. Stick around as we uncover the chilling truth. And trust me, you won't believe what the killer did next. Before we get into the nightmare, let's meet the Miyazawa family. Mikio Miyazawa, 44, was a hard-working father and a consultant at a British firm. His wife, Yasuko, 41, was a dedicated teacher, running a small cram school from their home to help local kids with their studies. They had two children. Their daughter, Nina, was 8 years old, a bright girl with a passion for drawing, always sketching little animals in her notebook. And their son, Ray, just 6, was a shy, sweet boy who loved playing with his toy trains, his laughter filling the house. They lived in a modest 2-story home, the kind of place where you'd expect to hear the clatter of dishes at dinner, the sound of children giggling, the warmth of a family preparing for the new year. A time of renewal and hope in Japan, where families come together to clean their homes, pray at shrines, and share meals of mochi and mandarins. But there was one thing that troubled Mikio. Their house sat right next to a park under construction, its skeletal playground equipment looming just beyond their fence. The constant noise, drills buzzing, trucks rumbling, drove Mikio up the wall. He'd even lodged complaints with the city, begging for some peace and quiet. He had no idea that park would soon become a gateway for something far more sinister. On that fateful night, December 30th, 2000, the Miyazawas went about their evening as usual. Yasuko tucked Nina and Ray into bed, whispering goodnight with a gentle kiss on their foreheads. Mikio stayed up a little longer, maybe finishing some work downstairs. The house grew quiet, the kind of quiet that feels safe, comforting. But outside, in the icy darkness, someone was watching. Someone who'd been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. It's late at night, just after 11 p.m. The Miyazawa house is wrapped in silence, the kind of stillness that comes with a winter night in Tokyo. Upstairs, Nina and Ray are fast asleep in their beds, their soft breaths barely audible, their stuffed animals tucked under their arms. Downstairs, Mikio is in the living room, maybe flipping through a book or finishing some paperwork, the glow of a lamp casting a warm light across the room. Yasuko has just drifted off in the bedroom, her mind full of plans for the new year. The house feels safe, secure, a sanctuary. But then, a sound pierces the silence. A faint creak echoes from the second floor. The bathroom window, the one Nina and Ray use every night to brush their teeth, is being forced open. The hinges groan softly as the window gives way, and a cold draft slips into the house, chilling the air. The killer steps into the house, his movements silent but deliberate, like a hunter stalking his prey. He's prepared. He's planned this. In his hand, he clutches a sashimi knife, a long, razor-sharp blade, the kind traditionally used in Japan to slice fish with precision. But tonight, it's meant for something far more sinister. He pauses for a moment, listening, his breath steady, his eyes scanning the darkened hallway. Then, he moves toward Ray's room. Ray, just 6 years old, is lost in a peaceful dream, maybe imagining a train ride with his father, the kind of adventure he loved. He doesn't hear the killer enter his room, doesn't feel the shadow fall over him. The killer stands over Ray's bed, watching the little boy sleep, his small face so innocent, so vulnerable. And then, without a moment's hesitation, the killer reaches down. He wraps his hands around Ray's tiny throat, his fingers tightening with a brutal, unyielding grip. Ray doesn't even have a chance to scream. His life is snuffed out in seconds, his small body going limp in the bed, his dreams silenced forever. But that silence doesn't last. The faint noise of the struggle, the creak of the bed, the soft thump of Ray's body, travels downstairs. Mikio, sitting in the living room, freezes. His heart begins to race as a father's instinct kicks in. Something's wrong, terribly wrong. He drops his book, his chair scraping against the wooden floor as he bolts to his feet. He races toward the stairs, his footsteps heavy, his breath ragged, calling out softly, "Rei? Nina?" But as he reaches the staircase, he's already too late. Mikio rounds the corner of the stairs and comes face to face with the killer. There's no time to react, no time to fight back. The killer lunges at Mikio, the sashimi knife flashing in the dim light as he stabs him over and over into his chest, his head, his neck. The force is so brutal that the blade snaps in half, splintering against Mikio's skull. Blood sprays across the walls, pooling on the stairs as Mikio collapses, his body slumping lifelessly, blocking the killer's path. But the killer doesn't stop. His rage, his mission, isn't over yet. Yasuko, woken by the commotion, feels her heart stop as she hears Mikio's final cry. She grabs Nina, pulling her daughter close, whispering, "Shh, we have to hide." They stumble out of bed, their bare feet cold against the wooden floor, and scramble toward the attic ladder in the hallway. Nina's small hand trembles in Yasuko's as they climb, the ladder creaking under their weight. They reach the attic, huddling together in the darkness, their breaths shallow, their bodies shaking. Yasuko wraps her arms around Nina, trying to shield her, whispering, "It's going to be okay, baby. We'll be okay." But deep down, she knows they're not safe. The killer hears the creak of the ladder, and he starts to climb. The attic door creaks open, and the killer finds them. Yasuko screams, pushing Nina behind her, but there's nowhere to run. The killer attacks with a ferocity that defies comprehension, stabbing Yasuko and Nina over and over, more than 10 times each. The attic walls are splattered with their blood, their cries echoing through the empty house until they fall silent. Yasuko, in her final moments, tries to shield her daughter, her body draped over Nina's as if she could protect her even in death. But it's no use. In just minutes, an entire family is gone. But here's where this case takes a turn into the truly bizarre, the kind of thing that makes your skin crawl. After committing this unspeakable act, after brutally murdering an entire family, the killer doesn't flee. He doesn't run into the night, desperate to escape. No, he stays. He stays in the Miyazawa house for 10 hours. Let me paint the picture for you. The house is silent now, the air thick with the metallic scent of blood. The bodies of Mikio, Yasuko, Nina, and Rei lie lifeless, their blood pooling on the floors, staining the walls. And the killer, he walks downstairs, his boots leaving bloody footprints on the hardwood. He heads to the kitchen, opens the fridge and pulls out a carton of ice cream, strawberry, the kid's favorite. He grabs a spoon from the drawer, sits at the kitchen table, and starts eating. 1 scoop, 2 scoops, 3, 4. He finishes 4 ice creams, leaving the wrappers crumpled on the counter, the spoons smeared with blood from his hands. But he's not done. He walks to the living room, the same room where Mikio was working just hours ago, and he sits on the couch, the family's couch, where Nina and Rei probably watched cartoons together. He leans back, closes his eyes, and takes a nap. A nap! Can you imagine? The bodies of the family he just murdered are still upstairs, their blood still fresh, and he's napping. After a while, he gets up, stretches, and heads to the family's computer. He logs into their account, using their password, and starts browsing the internet as if he's just passing the time. He even drinks their barley tea, leaving the empty bottle on the table. What kind of monster does this? Who kills a family and then acts like he's just hanging out in their home? And then, he leaves behind clues that baffle investigators to this day. He discards his clothes, stained with the family's blood, right there in the house, as if he doesn't care who finds them. Inside a fanny pack he leaves behind, police find sand that's later traced to Edwards Air Force Base in California, a U.S. military base. He leaves his DNA everywhere, on the clothes, in the house, even in his own feces, because, get this, he uses the family's toilet to relieve himself before he leaves. His fingerprints are all over the scene, his blood type is identified, and yet, he walks free. Why would a killer leave so much evidence behind? Was he taunting the police, daring them to catch him, or did he truly believe he'd never be found? The next morning, December 31st, 2000, Yasuko's mother arrives at the house for a planned visit. She's carrying a small bag of New Year's treats, mochi and mandarins, a tradition to share with her daughter and grandchildren. But as she approaches the house, something feels off. The air is too still, the silence too heavy. She knocks on the door, calling out, "Yasuko? Mikio?" No answer. Her heart begins to pound as she lets herself in, and then she sees it. Blood on the stairs, smeared across the walls, pooling on the floor. She screams, her voice echoing through the empty house, and calls the police in a panic. What follows is one of the largest investigations in Japan's history. Over 246,000 man-hours, 40,000 officers, and 12,000 tips poured into this case. The police worked tirelessly, combing through every piece of evidence, every clue the killer left behind. They create a profile, a young male, likely in his 20s, around 5'7" tall, with a slender build. His DNA reveals he's of mixed ancestry. His mother is likely Korean, his father European. The sand in his fanny pack points to Edwards Air Force Base in California, a U.S. military base. They have his fingerprints, his DNA, his blood type, and yet, he doesn't match any database in Japan or anywhere else in the world. It's as if he's a ghost, slipping through their fingers. So, who did this? The theories are endless, each one more chilling than the last. Theory 1. A foreign perpetrator. The sand from Edwards Air Force Base makes some believe the killer could be a U.S. soldier stationed in Japan, or someone with ties to the military. Japan has several U.S. bases. Could he have slipped back to one after the murders, disappearing without a trace? Theory 2. A personal grudge. Mikio had complained about the park construction next door. Did he anger someone enough to spark this kind of rage? Maybe a worker, a neighbor, someone who knew the family's routines? Or Theory 3. A random act of violence. Was the Miyazawa family simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, targeted by a killer with no motive but pure evil? I'm dying to hear your thoughts. What do you think happened that night? Drop your theories in the comments below. The Setagaya murders didn't just take 4 lives. They left an indelible scar on Japan, a nation where violent crime is rare and family is sacred. In Setagaya, the community still gathers every year on December 30th, placing flowers and candles where the Miyazawa house once stood. They pray for justice, for closure, for the souls of Mikio, Yasuko, Nina, and Rei. But for Yasuko's sister, the family's only survivor, the pain remains as raw as it was 24 years ago. She spent decades fighting for answers, begging the police not to give up, her voice trembling as she says, "I just want to know why my family?" In 2020, advancements in DNA technology offered a glimmer of hope. The police retested the killer's DNA, narrowing down his ancestry even further. His mother likely Korean, his father European, possibly with ties to the U.S. military. They have offered a 20 million yen reward for any tip that leads to his arrest. But as the years stretch on, the question lingers like a ghost in Setagaya. Will this killer ever be caught? Or will he walk free forever, knowing he ate a family's ice cream, slept in their home, and left his DNA behind? And no one could stop him. The Setagaya family murders are a chilling reminder that some monsters walk among us. And some mysteries refuse to be solved. But I want to hear from you. Who do you think killed the Miyazawa family? Was it a foreign intruder, someone with a grudge, or a random act of pure evil? And what's the creepiest clue for you? The ice cream? The nap? The DNA left behind? Drop your theories in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one, and I might even shout out my favorites in the next video. If this case left you as haunted as it left me, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more true crime stories, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next mystery. Stay curious, but stay safe. See you in the next case.